We're going to discuss one example that covers classes, objects, constructor overloading, methods, invoking methods with one example, complex numbers. So we're going to perform arithmetic operations on complex numbers. Generally, the complex numbers will have two parts. One is real part, another one is imaginary part. 6 plus 4i. This is one complex number. 3 minus 4i is another complex number. So these are some of the complex numbers. We are going to perform arithmetic operations on these complex numbers: addition, subtraction, okay, and multiplication and all. Okay, so assume that there is one complex number 6 plus 4i and another one is 6 plus 3i. So 3 plus let's say 4i. What is the result after adding these two complex numbers? It is very simple. You have to add real components separately, then you have to add imaginary components separately. 6 plus 3 is 9, 4 plus 4 is 8. How to subtract these two? The subtraction is also similar to additions. You have to subtract the respective components. Okay, it's 3. Or you can write as 3 plus 0i. If the imaginary component is 0, you need not to write this one. Okay. So this is the way how you are supposed to perform addition and subtraction on complex numbers. For this exercise, I am going to define two classes. One class for complex numbers. This complex class will take care of defining properties and defining methods. I am going to create one more class called driver class. This driver class will take care of creating objects and perform execution. So this driver class will have the main method. This is my skeleton. In complex class, I am going to write the code required for defining the properties and for defining the methods. And this driver class will take care of execution. It consists of main method. The main method will create objects. It will call the appropriate methods. It has two properties. One is the real part. Another one is imaginary part. Let us say IMG. IMG stands for imaginary. Assume that. A complex class consists of two properties. One is real part and imaginary part. Now let me create an object for complex class. Complex C1 is equal to new complex. So here what I am doing is I am creating an object of complex type. Here I am creating an object of complex type. That object is referred by a reference variable C1. Okay, what C1 contains? C1 is an object of complex type. So what C1 contains? C1 contains two properties exactly. One is real part, another one is imaginary part. Okay, a memory will be allocated for real and a memory will be allocated for imaginary. What value will be there in real part and what value will be there in imaginary part? Here you are not giving any values. After creating an object, you are not giving any values. You are not initializing it. What value will be there in real and what value will be there in imaginary? Generally, the compiler will give a default values. If you are not initializing, the compiler will give a default values. Or if you want to initialize your object, C1 is an object. If you want to initialize an object while creating an object, what you can do is you can make use of a separate special method is called as constructor. Okay, when you create an object and if you want to initialize that object with some specific values, you can make use of a special method is called as constructor. Okay, the constructor method does not have return type and its name is same as class name. So this is a constructor. This is a constructor for complex class. A constructor is a special method that does not have return type and the name of the constructor should be same as a class name. Here the class name is complex and the constructor name is also complex. Okay. Here what you can do is you can give initial values. Real is equal to 0.0, imaginary is equal to 0.0. Whenever you create an object, by default, this constructor will be called and the code inside the constructor will be executed. Now, what's the values of real and imaginary for C1?
Zero point zero, 0.0.
0.0, 0.0. In the same way, you can create any number of objects. Let me create one more object. C2 is equal to new complex. Again, here I am creating another object. Whenever I create an object, and a default constructor will be called, and the values will be 0.0 and 0.0. Okay. Whenever you create an object, a constructor will be called, and whatever the code that is there inside the constructor, that code will be executed. Here I am creating an object called C1. So when I create an object called C1, the values of C1 will be as real value 0 and imaginary value as 0. And here I am creating another object called C2, and again constructor will be executed, and the real value will be 0.0 and the imaginary value 0.0. Okay, so these are the default values. Its initial values will be real value as 0.0, imaginary values as 0.0. Those are the initial values. If you want, you can change those values later. Here, while creating an object, I am not passing any parameters. So my default values will be 0.0 and 0.0. While creating an object, if you want, you can pass values like 10.0, let us say 10.0 and 12.0. So for that one, I need to create one more constructor, double x. So this is one constructor, a constructor which is having no arguments. This is a constructor with no arguments, and this is a constructor with 2 arguments. The first argument is of double type, and the second argument is also of double type. So what I can do is, the real value can be x and the imaginary value can be y. We have 2 constructors, one constructor with no arguments and another constructor with 2 arguments. See here. Now the question is, here you are creating an object. Which constructor will be called? I told you before, when you create an object, a constructor will be called by default. So while creating object C1, whether the first constructor will call or the second constructor will call. While creating object 2, whether the first constructor will execute or second constructor will execute. It depends on how you are creating an object. If you are creating an object without passing any parameters, then a default constructor will be executed. So this is called as default constructor, and this is called as parameterized constructor. So this is a default constructor with no arguments, and this is a parameter constructor with 2 arguments. How many constructors you are defining? You are defining more than one constructor in the same class. Then this concept is called as constructor overloading. If you define more than one constructor within the same class with different signature, then that is called as constructor overloading. I repeat once again, defining more than one constructor in a single class with different signatures is called as constructor overloading. Here signature is nothing but the number of arguments, type of arguments, order of the arguments. Here, how many number of arguments are there here? In the first constructor, how many arguments are there? Okay, here the signature is 0 arguments. How many arguments are here? The signature is 0 arguments. Here the signature is 2 arguments of double type. Okay, both are having different signatures. So it's a constructor overloading. Whereas this cannot be a constructor overloading. Let us say A comma B. You cannot claim this as a constructor overloading. Why? Why you cannot claim this as a constructor overloading? Both of the constructor is having the same signature. Here you are having 2 arguments of double type, Here also you're having two arguments of double type. If the signature are same, if you want to perform overloading, the signature should not be same. Here the signature is two double type of arguments. Here the signature is two double type of arguments. These kinds of overloading is not allowed. This kind of signature is allowed. Here the signature is no arguments. Here the signature is two arguments of double type. Here the signature is two arguments. One is of character type, another is of double type. Okay, so this is also allowed. The signature is in terms of number of arguments, type of arguments, or order of arguments. Okay, this concept is called as constructor overload. I am creating object C2 by passing two values, 10 and 12. So what is the real and imaginary value of C2? 10.0 will be copied into X and 12.0 will be copied into Y. That becomes the values 10.0 and 12.0. Okay, this is how the constructor works. So when you are creating an object itself, the constructor will be called, whether it is calling the default constructor or it is calling the parameterized constructor. It depends on whether you are passing the arguments or not while creating an object. If you are passing parameters, then the parameterized constructor will be called. If you are not passing any parameters, then the default constructor will be called. Okay, like this. Okay, here instead of giving constant values, what you can do is you can get values from the user. Read from the standard input device system.in. Read two values. A is equal to sc dot next double. This is the method to read the double values. I need one more input. A comma B. Here I am creating C1 object without passing any parameters. The default values will be 0.0, 0.0 as it executes the default constructor. And here I am creating a C2 object by passing A comma B as a parameter. What value C2 contains? The values will be depends on the user input. Whatever the user is supplying, those values will be there in real and imaginary. Now let's perform addition. I need one more variable for adding C1 and C2. Complex C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. So I'm trying to add C1 and C2 and the result will be stored in C3. Here, this is not valid one. The reason is the plus operator will operate only on the numbers. The plus operator will operate only on the numbers, not on the objects, not on the reference variables. So you are not supposed to use this plus operator to add two objects. Okay, it is incompatible type. Okay, the C1, C2 are incompatible operands. You have to write a separate method that performs addition. You have to define a separate method to perform addition of those two complex numbers. Okay, here C1 dot add in the sense C1 is calling add method. C1 dot add is nothing but C1 is calling the add method. So C1 is called as invoking object. C1 is an invoking object. Okay, the object which is calling a method is called as invoking object, and C2 is a parameter as you are passing it. C1 acts as an invoking object and C2 acts as a parameter. Okay, so let's define add method. Let's define add method. Now you tell me whether you are passing any parameters while calling add method. Here, whether you are passing any parameters while calling the add method. How many parameters you are passing while calling add method? You are passing one parameter of complex type. You're passing one parameter of complex type. Complex, let us say M. So you are calling add method by passing one parameter. So you have to define an add method with one parameter. What type of parameter you are passing?
Complex.
So you should have a parameter of, you should have arguments of complex type. After adding C1 and C2, you should return a value. Which type of value it is expecting?
Complex.
It is expecting complex type of value. So return type should be complex. Return type should be complex. Okay. So let's add. C1 is an invoking object. C2 is a parameter. Okay. So whatever the values there in C2, those values will be copied into M. Another variable to hold the result. Now I told you have to add a real value separately and imaginary value separately. So the real values of result is nothing but the real values of C1 and the real values of C2. Which object is an invoking object? Which object is an invoking object?
C1, sir.
So the members of invoking object can be accessed by using this keyword. This dot real. This keyword is not mandatory. Generally, this keyword refers to the object which is invoking. How to access the members of C2? Here, the members of C2 is copied into M.
M dot, sir.
Now M act as the C2. M dot real. The same way, result dot imaginary is equal to C1 dot imaginary plus C2 dot imaginary. As C1 is invoking object, this dot imaginary, you can use this keyword. And now you have to add C2 imaginary. How to access C2 imaginary values? M dot image. Because the values of C2 is copied into M. And finally, a return result. A return result. And finally print it. System dot out dot. Which variable contains result after adding C1 and C2?
C3.
C3. Addition is and you have to print C3 dot real first. And followed by a plus symbol, followed by imaginary values, followed by I. Because your output looks like no 2 plus 3i, 4 plus 5i. Okay, like that. So this is the way how you are supposed to perform operations, arithmetic operations, and complex numbers. I have done for addition. You do it for subtraction and multiplication. One more thing is you can improvise this program. Now you tell me the answer for this one. What is the addition of 2 plus 3i? 3 plus 4i. What is the result?
5 plus 7 is
5 plus 7i. If you perform addition. Now what is the answer? What is the answer for these two?
5 minus I.
5 minus
I.
1. 5, you can write it as 5 minus 1. Okay. So here in the result, it is always not plus. In the result, it is always not the plus symbol. Sometimes it is a plus symbol, sometimes it is a minus symbol. It depends on the values of imaginary. Even after performing addition, the result is not always like real plus imaginary all the times. Sometimes your answer will be like real minus imaginary. So you have to change this statement. If C3 dot imaginary is a positive number, you can print this one. If it is a negative number, you need to have a minus in middle. Actually, you don't need minus actually here. like this. If the resultant imaginary value is a positive value, then you need to have plus in between the real and imaginary. Okay. If the imaginary values of resultant complex number is positive, you need to have plus in between the real and imaginary. If it is a negative number, you needed to place plus in between. That is the difference. So this is how you are supposed to work with the classes, objects, constructor overloading, invoking objects,